Peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Please consider becoming a subscriber if you like if you dig some of the different lifestyle topics that I'm establishing here and covering on the channel. Feel free to do so. Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment. I'm the man that makes it all work. A little disappointed tonight. It's a casual Friday, but there was supposed to be some local fighting, some local boxing, and it looks like that card didn't materialize. So I'm gonna be at the home base tonight, which is cool because we have action on ESPN Plus. I'll get into the boxing at the end of this. Hey, if you only want to hear a little bit of boxing, then please grab that status bar and go to like the 7-minute mark or the 8-minute mark. I will get into some boxing before I get off of here. But again, with this being, my lifestyle movement and looking out for other brothers that's out there that's on some different stuff, got a couple of topics. One, last night at midnight, Raheem Devon out of the DMV, out of the DC area actually, or specifically, dropped his latest album, The Love Reunion. I haven't listened to it yet, but I have downloaded it to take it to work today and let it be my soundtrack, my desk soundtrack. So I think it's 13 or 14 cuts deep. I do see that he has a couple features on there, probably doing some rap, adding some rap to a couple of songs. But that's one thing that I've always appreciated about Raheem Devon is he's really kept his music closer to R&B than venturing over to flat out R&B over hip hop type production. So it's actually a producer that follows me on Instagram, who did one of my favorite all time songs by Raheem Devon. But he's got he didn't work on the last album, but he does have a joint at the end of this one. I think it closes the album, so I'm kind of excited to see what he did, being that this is the song that is the finale of the album. And historically, you close out an album with, it may not be a video song or a single, but it's a very strong song. So I'm interested in checking out The Love Reunion. Like I said, Raheem Devon is one of my personal favorite artists out there. And this is kind of his last album was a little bit of a downer for him, I think. He had been gone for a while and was kind of like trying to get that album out just to get some content out there and then really knock it out, because this album right here, actually I think the last one represented 10 years. The last album closed off his first 10 years as a artist. And then this album right here, The Love Reunion, marks, what he's going to do moving forward. To finish out my discussion last night, the live stream that I was trying to do on The Plugs I Met by Benny the Butcher from Griselda Records, Black Soprano Family, I believe, is his own imprint. What I was going to say was it's bookended by Crowns for Kings and 5 to 50, featuring his wife. And like I said, Black Thought blazes the second track, Crowns for Kings. And then on the final track, the 7th track, Benny jumps around and kind of shows a different bounce with his flow, kind of going to the trap music flow, showing a little bit more charisma, and some range and whatnot, some diversity in what he does. And then his wife is on there saying some kind of retelling some milestones for them throughout their relationship and how things are different now that he's kind of breaking through or has broken through with this rap thing. So it's a solid project. It's only 7 songs, really 6 if you take out the opening or the intro, which is a skit. So again, it's not as good to me as the previous project, Tana Talk 3. But this one is kind of a celebration of, several years of hustle and grinding. And that's why, the bigger features are on here, and Pusha T and and Jadakiss, Black Thought and Jadakiss. So check the project out. Let me know if you're a fan of Griselda or, if you want to chop anything up about that. This week, earlier in this week, one of the best shows on TV, especially in terms of numbers right now, is Yellowstone on the Paramount Network, which stars Kevin Costner. I mentioned this in kind of I think I did a review of season. Did I do a review of season one, like a formal quote unquote? I did it on something, but I mentioned that Yellowstone is a lot of parallels to Empire, with with Lucius Lyons being pretty much the equivalent here of John Dutton, is who Kevin Costner plays, his three sons, and him being like a cattle baron or something out in Montana. But this week was season 2. It was episode 2 of season 2, and kind of did some restructuring, and like I said, with the parallel to Empire, that's played out or confirmed here, because in season 1, Costner had cancer and thought he was going to pass away, and you didn't know, was he going to make it through the season, and they moved forward with the rest of this cast. But this is his personal baby. This is his personal project, so you assume something would happen. And then this episode, or in the season premiere, it's revealed that he just had a stomach ulcer that ruptured or something, and so he had some impromptu surgery. This week it comes back on with the season 2, and now he's trying to right the wrongs that he did when he thought he was on borrowed time and thought he was going to die. So now he's trying to fix some things that he kind of, rushed to make some decisions, and some of his manipulation, and, the stewardship of his family and whatnot. And so, it's a lot of interesting stuff going on with the show. Rip, who's played by Cole Hauser, and John Dutton's baby son. The son has kind of come back home begrudgingly after splitting with his wife, who's Native American, and his son, and now he's doing what he did not want to do, which was live under his father's flag. But now he's taken over, and so it's causing tension between Rip, who was Dutton's right-hand man, Kevin Costner's right-hand man. And now it's very odd that, Rip came into Costner's service as a youth, as a teenager. And so he's groomed him and fed him and been a father to him. And now he's casting him aside because he wants to rekindle the relationship with his youngest son, which, they were estranged. But, of course, blood is thicker than water. So there's some interesting things going on with Yellowstone. And I would suggest, checking it out if you had some time. I did knock out season 1 of Absentia on Amazon. I don't know if her name is Stana or Stanya Kantic from Castle. It's a solid show. I mean, there's some foolishness, there's some plot holes and some flaws with it, but season 1, the mystery and the payoff at the end, it is worth it. They do wrap up the first season with a big surprise at the end, or a big reveal, and it's worth your time. But I haven't jumped into season 2, which is out there now. I might get into that this weekend. Boxing, let's get into it. I wish I had some kind of audio to signify. We getting ready to talk about a little bit of boxing tonight. A little bit of dampening, on this fight with Comey defending his lightweight title. Beltran didn't make weight, and it's unfortunate because this guy's too much of a professional. We know about his struggles with his his naturalization or his visa and whatnot, and he's been here before, and it's unfortunate now that he can't win this title. And what if Comey loses it? Does it impact his approach to the fight in any way? and knowing what's out there for him and potentially a unification or an undisputed fight with the winner of Luke Campbell and Vasyl Lomachenko. But I expect this to be a pretty good action fight. And, I wonder, is Beltran a little past it? He's older and he's staying pretty active. Like, is he a guy that could fight less? Although I think it won't be more than 3 times in the calendar year or, in a 12-month period. So, but Beltran, he a lot of wear and tear on the guy. Every fight is a lot of, he's going to get hit. He's going to sustain damage and whatnot. So, we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, a little luster knocked off of that one with it not being a title fight or title defense per se. Friend of the show, Junior Fa, is actually on this card, which is taking place at the Pechanga Resort and Casino. He's facing veteran fighter Dominic Gwynn. I didn't even know the guy was still active. I was supposed to talk to Junior Fa last week. We had some discussions offline, and unfortunately, it didn't come together. There is an interview down in the playlist with Junior Fa. Or actually, that was on the go to Team Left Jab network or radio. Google either one and check out the Bite Down Boxing with R.L. Woodson podcast, and you can find the episode with me and heavyweight contender Junior Fa, Carlos Adames against Patrick Day. That's pretty good, pretty solid matchup. And then Tyler Howard, he's coming back against Luis Hernandez. I'm guessing some of that action is going to be on, it'll be split between ESPN Plus and ESPN. I don't know. I apologize. I really don't know where that Junior Fa fight could take place. But it's good to see the guy, back in action. It's probably an important fight for him. Like I said, right now with the activity going up against the big 3 or the big 4 or the big new 3, if you want to push AJ out and insert Ruiz in there. Some of these guys are going to be needing opponents that they probably wouldn't have looked at prior to some stuff getting, the apple cart being upset with Ruiz taking out AJ. And then we have to see how do they move Tyson Fury before this rematch with Deontay Wilder. So that's a decent card tonight. Tomorrow, I haven't done a lot with Demetrius Andrade and Maciej Zaleski. With Andrade defending his 160-pound WBO or middleweight WBO title. It's good to see Andre being active. They do need to figure out a way to, if this fight right here isn't overly exciting, if it doesn't deliver in some ways as a main event fight with Calton Dokwa and the last cat that looked like Wolverine, can't remember his name, the Russian guy. I'm not even going to remember that one, so no sense in trying to recall that one. But maybe this is kind of the get past this one and then we see what's possible. Whether it's we know the elevation of Canelo Alvarez to franchise quarterback. Might as well be franchise quarterback, a franchise player, however you want to look at it. But we'll see what the next step for him, as well as Jamal Charlo. Like, what's next for him? How does he start building his business, quote unquote? How does he elevate himself and get to trying to arrive to make meaningful fights, trying to get into box office or marquee matchups? What does that look like at a middleweight moving forward with Alvarez spreading his wings and flying off to go do, act with immunity out here. But like I said, if he faces a Callum Smith, even a Sergey Kovalev, You know, we'll see what happens with Triple G. I think that one hit some stumbling blocks last week, but a lot to sort out at middleweight, and how do we go about doing it. But Joseph Parker also fights tomorrow night against Alex Leopold. And then I didn't understand why this brother was at the press conference yesterday, but Toledo's own Otha Jones III faces Matias Ariagata. Just got a first round knockout like 2 weeks ago or last weekend. Was that last weekend? Over in the UK. So I guess that's why me and him didn't link up this week. I was trying to talk with OJ3 and talk about his experience, fighting over at York Hall on that that Conor Benn card. Next Generation, I think was what it was called. That's really all I really had. Maybe I wasn't gonna wasn't able to get a fighter on this week for the live stream Q&A. Might do a live stream of some kind. Might do one late morning tomorrow, and maybe dig into the Showtime card with Charlo and Brandon Adams. Jamal Charlo defending his new champion and the new. It's kind of interesting when that happens when you become a champion on a Thursday, or Friday or Wednesday, one of those nights, a Wednesday or a Thursday. That has to make for an interesting week for any boxer. But I'll try to get into that tomorrow. I did get to check out the press conference and see some of the stereotypical responses out there, and interpreting Brandon Adams as just being happy to be there. Salute to my man Junior the Truth, south of town here in the Dayton area. But I caught his interview on his channel of Brandon Adams, and wisely, he spoke on it that if you watch the Contender Show and if you've gotten to know Brandon Adams a little bit, I mean, how could he come out and just be what he's not? I mean, he's a high energy guy, seems to be a positive guy. Seems like he's dealt with some things, maybe even a little bit of depression. He's overcome some challenges and some disappointments and setbacks. And it seems like what we're seeing in him with some of his dancing, on Instagram and some of his training videos, he's a happy guy. And I think he, spoke on it well that, he's a professional fighter. He doesn't have to be, abrasive and coarse and rigid and disrespectful and all of that stuff. He doesn't have to be all of that stuff to be able to do his job. And he said he wanted to remain comfortable in his own skin and go about things his own way. So, yeah, they had the press conference that they had. All of these matchups aren't going to be, born out of, a bitter rivalry. It's not always going to be the case. But we'll see Saturday night. Hopefully, that the effort is there, that his action in the ring is what resonates and what we come away, after fight week and going into fight night. Was it the fight itself? Was it his action in the ring itself that erased whatever happened? As long as you make weight and then you do battle in the ring, that's really all that matters. Sitting around trying to, belittle this man because he doesn't act the way that you think he should. But that's boxing fans. But look, man, let me get on out of here. Like I said, it's a Friday night and just got paid. Johnny Kemp. But you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And